You know what's absolutely wild about the NBA Cup? Just 2 years ago, the Toronto Raptors were basically NBA Cup punching bags, getting destroyed in their opening games, and limping to a pathetic 2-6 record. But now we're talking about a completely different team. The Raptors just went into Atlanta and dominated the Hawks 109-97, extending their winning streak to 4 games and putting themselves in the driver's seat of Group A. And honestly, this performance showed something special about this team's identity, something that has been missing for years in Toronto. Are we witnessing the birth of a new Raptors era? Stick around, because what happened in Atlanta might just be the blueprint for this franchise's future. What's up, Raptors Nation? This is Quick Court coming in hot with your post-game breakdown, and man, do I have some stuff to unpack for you today. If you love this team as much as I do, you know how special Friday night was in Atlanta. We just watched the Raptors put together one of their most complete performances of the season, and I'm here to break down exactly why this win matters so much more than just another W in the standings. Before we dive in, let me ask you this. When was the last time you saw this level of composure and resilience from a Raptors team? When was the last time we came back from double digits and didn't just survive, but dominated the fourth quarter? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because I want to hear what you're seeing from this squad. And hey, if you're loving the Raptors content and want to stay locked in with every game breakdown, analysis, and hot take, smash that subscribe button right now. We're building the best Raptors community on YouTube, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. Stick around until the end, because I'm going to reveal the one thing that could derail this winning streak, and trust me, it's not what you think. You'll see why Raptors fans should be proud, while Hawks fans should be seriously worried about their situation. Let's set the scene. State Farm Arena, Friday night, NBA Cup Group A action. The Toronto Raptors are rolling into Atlanta, riding a 3-game winning streak, and the Hawks are desperate for a W without their all-star point guard Trae Young, who's out for at least 4 weeks with that sprained MCL. And for the first half, the Hawks looked good. They were attacking. They were physical. They built a 13-point lead in the second quarter, and honestly, it felt like here we go again. Another NBA Cup disappointment for Toronto. But here's where this team showed me something different, something that defines winners. They didn't panic. They didn't force. They stayed composed. Down 13 points, the Raptors could have folded. They could have let frustration creep in. Instead, they played patient basketball, trusted their system, and methodically clawed their way back into this game. By the time Scottie Barnes hit that layup to give Toronto an 82-81 lead midway through the fourth quarter, you could feel the momentum completely shift. Emmanuel Quickley followed up with a 3 to make it 85-81. And from that moment on, this game was over. The Raptors outscored the Hawks 3-6, 24 inches the fourth quarter. That's not just winning, that's domination, that's statement-making basketball. Let me ask you this. What does it say about a team when they can go into a hostile road environment, fall behind by double digits, and then completely take over in crunch time? That's maturity. That's growth. That's exactly what we've been waiting to see from this young Raptors core. If you're getting hyped right now, drop a comment and let me know. And don't forget to subscribe, because we're breaking down every moment of this Raptors season. Now let's talk about RJ Barrett, because this is the performance that defines what he's become for this team. RJ finished with 19 points on 7 of 1, 5 shooting, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. But here's what makes this special. He was 0 for 6 from the floor in the first half. 0 points at halftime on 6 attempts. For a lot of players, that would spiral into forcing shots, pressing, trying to do too much. Not RJ Barrett. Not anymore. This is the new Barrett, the patient Barrett, the Barrett who understands that basketball is a 48-minute game, and sometimes your time comes in the second half. He kept moving the ball. He had only 1 turnover despite being ice cold. He maintained his defensive intensity, and when the second half started and those shots finally began to fall, oh man, he took over. An early 3 in transition from Quickley, a tough runner late in the shot clock, a thunderous 2-handed dunk when Jakob Poeltl found him out of a double team. That's versatility, that's skill, that's star-level patience under pressure. RJ Barrett has had bigger scoring nights as a Raptor. We've seen him go for 30, we've seen him explode, but in some ways, this disciplined performance was more impressive than any of those games. Why? Because he showed mental toughness. He showed trust in his teammates. He showed that he's not just a scorer anymore, he's a winner. Think about it. How many times have we seen players get frustrated after missing their first 6 shots and then completely check out mentally? Barrett stayed engaged. He kept playing defense. He kept making the right passes. And when his offense unlocked in the second half, it was the difference in this game. This is what the Raptors need from RJ moving forward. Not just the big scoring nights, but this consistent APPRH. This understanding that sometimes you win games by trusting the process even when the ball isn't falling. That's growth. That's maturity. Are you seeing what I'm seeing from RJ Barrett this season? Let me know in the comments. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. Emmanuel Quickley. This man has taken more heat on social media than probably anyone on this roster. 5 years, $162.5 million. That's what the Raptors paid him this past summer. And after an injury-shortened 33-game season last year and a rough start to this season, the patience was wearing thin with Raptors fans online. But Friday night was a statement. 18 points, 6 assists, 3 steals on 5 of 1-1 shooting. Now, is Quickley gonna frame this box score and hang it on his wall? Probably not. But against a Hawks team loaded with lengthy, physical perimeter defenders and big bodies in the paint, this was exactly the performance Toronto needed from their starting point guard. Here's what I love. Quickley is now shooting 40.6% from 3 over his last 6 games. That's 1 3 of 3-2 from deep. After starting the season a brutal 2 of 18 inches, his first 3 starts, he's finding his rhythm. And when your shot comes around, everything else gets easier. Does Quickley still get his dribble hung up sometimes? Yes. Could his finishing at the rim be better compared to elite guards? Absolutely. But remember, this is really his first extended run as a full-time point guard in the NBA. He's learning on the fly. He's adjusting to running an offense. And those glitches, they'll smooth out with experience. What matters right now is the trajectory. The trend line is pointing up. The confidence is growing. And when Quickley is knocking down threes at a 40% clip, this Raptors offense becomes SO much more dangerous because defenders have to respect his shot, which opens up driving lanes for Barnes and Barrett and Ingram. The 5-year deal looks better by the week. Trust the process with IQ, Raptors Nation. Can we talk about Jamal Shead for a second? Because this kid is becoming one of the most pleasant surprises of the entire NBA season. Even national voices like John Hollinger from The Athletic and Zach Lowe from The Ringer have taken notice this week. That's no small feat for a backup point guard on a team that hasn't made the playoffs in 3 years. But Shead is earning that attention. Coming into Friday's game, Shead was averaging 6.9 points and 5.4 assists while shooting 44.7% from the floor and 47.4% from 3. His 43 total assists were second among all bench players in the NBA this season. That's a light production. Against the Hawks, Shead didn't score in 14 minutes of action. But here's the thing about basketball. The box score doesn't always tell the whole story. Shead finished with a +7 in those 14 minutes, and the Raptors' best stretches in the first half came with him on the floor. In just a couple of first quarter minutes, watch what he did. Found Brandon Ingram for a bucket in the lane, set up Ingram for an open 3, made a steal and took it the length of the floor, leading to a Sandro Mamukilashvili layup, and forced a traveling violation with his pressure defense. That's impact. That's how a backup point guard influences winning even without scoring. That's basketball IQ. That's understanding your role and dominating it. The Raptors struck gold with Jamal Shead. And if he keeps playing like this, he's going to be in the 6th Man of the Year conversation by season's end. Mark my words. Here's something that doesn't get talked about enough. Friday night might have been the first time this season the Raptors had 2 fully functioning centers who could both produce at a high level. Jakob Poeltl looked like himself again after dealing with that stiff back from training camp and early in the season. 12 points on 4 of 5 shooting, 10 rebounds, and he made all 4 of his free throws. That's the steady, reliable interior presence Toronto has been missing. And then you've got Sandro Mamukelashvili coming off the bench like a human changeup. 12 points, 6 rebounds, sprinting in transition, spotting up for threes, crashing the glass with energy. He's everything you want in a backup big. Together, they gave the Raptors 24 points and 16 rebounds on 9 of 1-6 shooting from the center position. Being able to mix and match based on matchups and game flow, that's a luxury this team hasn't had in years. Think about how much easier life gets for Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, and RJ Barrett when they have legitimate rim protection and interior scoring behind them. Think about how much more balanced this offense looks when you can attack from every position. This is what a real rotation looks like, folks. Now, let's flip the script for a second and talk about what's happening in Atlanta, because this is fascinating from a front office perspective. Trae Young, 4-time All-Star, career averages of 25.2 points and 9.8 assists, is out for at least a month with that sprained MCL. And here's the UN comfortable truth for Hawks fans. They might actually be better defensively without him. Before Young got hurt, the Hawks were 25th in defensive rating. Since he's been out, they've jumped to EIGH. That's a massive improvement. Young's lack of size and defensive interest has always been his Achilles heel, and now the numbers are proving it in real time. But here's the flip side. The Hawks looked absolutely lost offensively for long stretches against Toronto. They went 5 of 24 inches the fourth quarter. That's a complete brick fest. That's what happens when you don't have an elite playmaker running your offense. So what does Atlanta general manager Onsi Saleh do with this information? Young is nearing the end of his 5-year, $215 million contract. He's eligible for an extension, but the Hawks haven't given him one yet. And you know what happens when teams don't extend their star players? They start exploring the trade market. We saw this exact situation in Toronto with Pascal Siakam. The writing was on the wall for months before he got moved. Could the same thing happen with Trae Young? The next few weeks will give the Hawks a real evaluation of exactly what their team is worth with and without their star point guard. This isn't just a basketball story. This is a business story. This is about franchise direction. This is about whether you can build a winner around a player who puts up incredible offensive numbers but gets torched on defense. I'm not saying the Hawks should trade Trae Young, but I am saying they have some serious questions to answer. And if you're a Raptors fan, you should be thanking your lucky stars that Toronto has moved on from that era of being stuck in the middle. We're either rebuilding with young talent or competing at the top. There's no more of this mediocre treadmill basketball. Let's zoom out and talk about what this victory means for the Raptors' NBA Cup hopes. Group A includes the Raptors, Cavaliers, Hawks, Pacers, and Wizards. It might be the weakest of the 6 groups in the entire league. The Pacers and Wizards were a combined 2-14 heading into Friday night. The Cavaliers are the only truly elite team in this group, and Toronto already beat them last week in that comeback thriller. The Raptors are now 2-0 inches NBA Cup play. They've beaten the Hawks twice this season, which could be huge for tiebreaker purposes down the line. And with the way this group is structured, Toronto has a real chance to emerge as the Group A winner and advance to the knockout rounds. Here's why this matters. The NBA Cup isn't just some gimmick tournament anymore. Players are taking it seriously because there's money on the line. Over $500,000 for the winning team. And for a young Raptors squad trying to build winning habits and playoff experience, these high-stakes games are invaluable. Every time Toronto steps on the court in an NBA Cup game, they're learning how to play with pressure. They're learning how to execute in must-win situations. They're building the mental toughness that will serve them when the real playoffs roll around in April and May. This is about more than just winning games. This is about building an identity. This is about becoming the type of team that fights, that competes, that never gives up even when down double digits on the road. And that's the Toronto Raptors brand we all fell in love with during the championship run. That's the culture Bobby Webster and this front office are trying to restore. So here's the big question I want to leave you with. What is the identity of these 2025-26 Toronto Raptors? For years, this franchise was defined by grit, by defense, by scrappy, tough-nosed basketball that made you earn every single point. We were the team nobody wanted to play because we made life miserable for opponents. Then we went through some down years, some rebuilding, some searching for direction. But what I saw on Friday night in Atlanta, that looked like the old Raptors DNA starting to resurface. Coming back from 13 down, locking up defensively in the fourth quarter, taking over when the game was on the line. This team is young, they're still learning, but the foundation is being built. Scotty Barnes is developing into a leader. RJ Barrett is maturing into a consistent two-way force. Brandon Ingram is providing veteran poise. Quickley is finding his rhythm as a point guard. And the role players like Shead and Emmanuel Quickley are embracing their roles. This isn't a finished product. This team still has work to do, but the trajectory, the direction, that's pointing straight up. And for Raptors Nation, that's all we can ask for right now. Progress, development, competitive basketball every single night. Are we going to win the NBA Cup? Maybe. Are we going to make a deep playoff run? Time will tell. But what I do know is this: the Toronto Raptors are becoming a team with identity again. A team with pride, a team that fights. And that's something worth celebrating. So let me bring this home with one final thought. The NBA Cup victory over the Hawks proved that this Raptors team is for real. The composure, the execution, the resilience. That's not something you can fake. That's not luck. That's a team starting to understand who they are and what they're capable of. RJ Barrett showed maturity in the face of a cold shooting start. Emmanuel Quickley is silencing the doubters with improved three-point shooting. The center rotation is finally giving Toronto balance. And role players like Jamal Shead are making winning plays every single night. But here's my question for you, Raptors Nation. What's the ceiling for this team? If they keep playing with this kind of identity and effort, how far can they go? Can they win Group A? Can they make a run in the NBA Cup knockout rounds? Can they turn this 4-game winning streak into something even bigger? Drop your predictions in the comments below. I want to hear what you think is possible for this squad. And before you go, make sure you smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you never miss a breakdown. We've got tons of Raptors content coming your way, including film breakdowns, player analysis, and all the takes you can handle. Keep repping that red and black Raptors Nation integrity over everything. This team is showing us that when you play the right way, when you compete every single possession, when you trust your teammates, anything is possible. Until next time, peace.